name is Genevieve Hammond. I teach English at Acton-Boxborough Regional High School in Acton, Massachusetts, where I've been for 8 years. And I was going out to Lenox, Massachusetts to do my first real intensive teacher training in teaching Shakespeare. And I was very rushed, had done a lot of things to do before I was leaving for this thing, which was going to last a week. And I remembered at the very last minute that I was supposed to have memorized something before we even arrived in Lenox for this training. And I was really honestly feeling a little bit resentful that we're supposed to be there, doing the work there. Why do I have to prepare in advance? Kind of really feeling sorry for myself. And so I was frantic, literally had the Art in Shakespeare, which is a gigantic tome full of everything that Shakespeare wrote, on the passenger seat next to me while I was driving, 75 miles an hour out the Massachusetts Turnpike. And thinking, what am I going to pick? What scene? What am I going to do? Finally, I said, all right, just do a sonnet because it's short and it's clean and easy to memorize, I thought. And so I chose Sonnet 29, which you will hear in a moment. And so we arrived, and a couple of days even went by before we even had to pull out our memorized material. And again, so I'm feeling a little bit annoyed and resentful. And finally we get to that day when we're going to use our whatever it is that we memorized, and I start to get up and speak my Sonnet 29, and they say, oh, it was supposed to be a scene from a play. So now I'm really ticked, but and embarrassed because everyone else has a scene from the play and I have this stupid sonnet. And they said, well, that's okay, that's fine, because you can play anything in Shakespeare, including the sonnets. And I said, fine. And so I read my sonnet, and they said, you need to bring a little more to it, and how do you see this person who's speaking this? And I said, well, it's sort of like a teenager who's giving you attitude. And they said, good, go with that. And so all of a sudden I was embodied by the spirit of the teenage boys that I've had in class who are just sort of annoyed by the doing Shakespeare and the things that you make them do in class that are good for them, but they still don't want to do it. And all of a sudden I was just inhabited again by this sonnet, and it was in this wonderful room at Williams College with these balconies all around, and so I was just sort of shouting my sonnet out to the air, and it was fantastic. I loved doing it, and it has always stayed with me because of that story, and because what I was feeling is perfectly embodied in the sonnet, and then in the couplet, the feeling of joy and release that I had when I finally spoke it, and spoke it with feeling. It's all right there in those last 2 lines. So with that as prologue, I will speak my sonnet. When in disgrace with fortune and men's eyes, I all alone beweep my outcast state, and trouble deaf heaven with my bootless cries, and look upon myself and curse my fate, wishing me like to one more rich in hope, featured like him with friends possessed, desiring this man's art and that man's scope, with what I most enjoy contented least. Yet, in these thoughts myself almost despising, haply I think on thee, and then my state, like to the lark at break of day arising from sullen earth, sings hymns at heaven's gate. For thy sweet love remembered such wealth brings, that then I scorn to change my state with king.